Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, very happy to discuss the Grade 3 Count Fleet Sprint Handicap at Oaklawn on Apple Blossom Saturday with Alexa Zepp. Why? We've got some nice horses, maybe the best sprinter in the country. Let's take a look at the field for this $500,000 dash. Steve Asmussen trains 3, but Skelly is the big name in this race, Alexa.
Yeah, absolutely he is. He's the defending champion, won this race last year, won 7 times in a row before they brought him to Saudi Arabia where he got second. So definitely a serious competitor.
And he ran great in the Saudi Cup. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We know Skelly's game. His game is speed. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US doesn't think there's anybody that can run with Skelly early, and neither do I.
I agree. This is absolutely the speed of the race. Works aren't super fast coming into the race, but that's nothing new for him. I agree with Timeform US. He's the speed. He loves Oaklawn. He's run 8 times there, won 6 of them. This is the horse to beat.
Now, if this pace is surprisingly fast and Skelly gets pushed early, you might want to keep an eye on the 6, Tejano Twist. Note that LP flag over his chiclet. That means he has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. And from what we've seen from Tejano Twist is if you give him pace, he does kick hard in the stretch.
He's the closer here for sure. He also ran in this race last year and got third to Skelly. He's a 5-year-old. He seems to maintain his form since turning 4. Hasn't run below a 94. So he's going to be a competitor here also well.
Let's start things off with an Arizona bred. The number 1 is Code 5, and he sure looked good in his career debut, winning against state-bred stakes competition. And it's just a shame that his career was derailed by that long layoff. He's come back twice. He hasn't come back as good just yet. Can you make a case that maybe they're racing him back into shape? But even if you do, isn't this just too tough a spot?
I can't make a case for him here. I mean, yes, won that first out, but has lost by over 20 lengths cumulatively in his last 2 starts. This is a huge step up for him. I don't quite understand putting him in this challenging of a race for where it seems to be he's at.
Steve Asmussen, one of his great attributes is he knows how to read a condition book, and he's found some wonderful spots for the number 2, Jackson Traveler, a Maryland bred who was a Maryland bred champion earlier in his career. But Steve has gone to Sunland to find races for him, to Zia to find races for him, and his most recent start, they took him back to Oaklawn. There was no Skelly. Steve decided to take the Whitmore with Jackson Traveler. Let's watch this stretch drive, and Jackson Traveler got close to the pace in here, got the jump on Tejano Twist, and that was the key.
Yeah, he's hit the board 21 out of 28 races with nearly 900,000 in earnings. So pretty much every time he has one, he's been near the lead. So I'm not 100% sure this sets up as well for him. But coming off lifetime best buyer, winning the Whitmore here, I will note there were only 5 horses in that race, though.
5 horses and none named Skelly, but he's always done well at Oaklawn in his career, and he's kind of a tactical sort, but this pace just might be too much for him early. I'm Wide Awake as the number 3, and I think the connections are taking a shot trying to get some black type here. Heck, they were running him in starter allowance races 3 starts back, for a tag 2 starts back, and he couldn't win either one of those races. He exits a first level allowance, just wasn't good enough that day. These are tougher.
This is a huge step up. I mean, hasn't run in Graded Stakes Company in nearly 2 years. Also, this horse has already run 5 times this year at Oaklawn. For me, it seems like he could benefit from a little bit of a break.
He might benefit from a little bit of a break and a little bit of class relief because he's also a speed type, and maybe his speed just works at lower level races at this point because his next door neighbor, Skelly, is all speed, and he ran great despite losing in the Riyadh Dirt Sprint in Saudi Arabia. Let's watch this race. He got caught up in a 3-ply speed duel while 3 wide. He eventually is going to put away his 2 pace pursuers, and for a brief instant, Alexa, it looks like he's on his way to victory, but this fast pace finally takes its toll.
Yeah, it just caught up with him. It really is a shame that he didn't win this race because he ran a really, really good race. And again, for me, absolutely the horse to beat here. This horse likes to win. Won 7 times in a row before this race. He's live.
He's the horse to catch. He's the horse to beat. And when the best horse gets the best trip, which is often being on the lead, they're very tough to beat, albeit at short prices. Perfect Dude is up next. I've always been a little bit of a fan of the Dude. He wasn't as good as Jackson Traveler 2 starts back, but that was his first start off of a lengthy layoff, and it appears that Todd Fincher has him right. They found a confidence boosting spot for him last time out. This race at Sunland Park, going 6.5 furlongs, he set a legitimate pace. He kept right on going, and Todd Fincher, who's having a phenomenal 2024 with the likes of Senor Buscador, showing a lot of confidence in running him here.
Yeah, he ran a big race. Overall, the picture for this horse is a very slow, very steady improvement throughout his entire career. This is a big ask for him here with this field. However, every time they've asked him before to step up, he's shown up and he's done well. So I think if he takes another step in this race, he could surprise at least underneath. And I don't really know if he can win, but these class jumpers with that raw talent are a good place to find value.
And he's the kind of horse, if you think Skelly's unbeatable, if you could get him into the exacta, you're turning an even money or odds on horse into Skelly into something like maybe 8 or 9 to 1 in the exacta. So this horse is certainly someone to keep an eye on, at least in the bottom of single race exotics. Tejano Twist is up next, and we talked about this millionaire. Skelly's handled him a few times. He needs pace. We saw him just miss to Jackson Traveler last time out. Jackson Traveler got the jump on him, so he's going to need some pace help and a little bit of trip luck as well.
He will. He again likes to win 21 out of 30 times in the money. Seems to maintain his form in the last few years. Landeros is his typical jockey, but right now he's riding at Gulfstream, so he does get Torres this weekend.
Rivet is up next. He's a graded stakes winner. For me, he's the kind of horse that's really hard to analyze because one race he's in form and you're like, wow, Rivet's finally broken through and he's going to come through with another big effort. And then he regresses just a little bit as he did in the Whitmore. I couldn't find the excuse when he was beaten by Jackson Traveler that day.
I couldn't either. He's won about half his starts, but hasn't really excelled in graded company. And just seems to be inconsistent. And for me, he's coming off exceptionally slow works, which isn't always the case with this horse. So I have some apprehension with him.
Maybe what he needs is a different running style. He won that Steel Valley Sprint at Mahoning when he was off the pace, and perhaps that's just what will be his MO down the road, although it'll be tough for him to pull it off against this field. Happy as a Choice is up next. He's very lightly raced. I still think we could project some upside for this horse, and he's pretty good right now. Let's watch his most recent effort. This is a second level allowance at Oaklawn, going 3/4 of a mile, and I like that Happy as a Choice kind of crept up into a solid pace and kept right on going. He still has a lot of things to learn. We see him sort of on his left lead right here, but there is upside. This might be too tough right now.
I have a lot of upside for this horse. First of all, I love his name, kind of mirrors my philosophy in life. But aside from that, like you said, very lightly raced compared to the rest of the field with only 7 starts, but he's been steadily improving every single race. I like that John Ortiz has that 5 furlong work in there. He's upset the favorite the last 2 outs at Oaklawn, at the distance, over the muddy track, over the fast track. So this will be a big test for him. This is a very tough competition, toughest he's ever faced. But I think if he continues to step up, he could upset.
This is the first leg of a 50-cent pick 5 at Oaklawn on Apple Blossom Saturday. Let's take a look at our topics. We hate to give out favorites, but sometimes you just don't want to bet against the favorite, and it would be kind of irresponsible to tell the folks to do so. I just think Skelly's the most likely winner, and I'd like to see him win. He's a really cool horse.
I agree. I mean, this horse is a beast. It's sometimes you have to play the favorite. They do win 30% of the time. But like you were saying earlier, in these races where the favorite is just too strong, you can try to find value in those exotic bets by having some value underneath. So for me, that's the 8, maybe even the 5 Perfect Dude in those exotic bets. But I think there's still ways to make money in this race.
4682 for Alexa, 4267 for me. We'll see if Skelly gets back into the winner's circle, returning from Saudi Arabia in the Count Fleet Sprint.